Good talking with you. Yeah, it is what it is. It's in the hand you get dealt sometimes. So, anyway, just make the best of it. That's all you can do. Anyway, this is KG5GP, Kilo Golf 5 Go Papa, Jack, in southeast Mississippi, 40 miles west of Mobile, and about 6 to 8 miles north of the Gulf of Mexico. Depends on whether you want to go out in the bayou just between us, because it dumps right into the Gulf. So, anyway, way down here in the bottom corner of Mississippi, and this is the Swan Users Net, November the 8th, 2023. This net is those of us who are interested in restoration, preservation, and operation of Swan radios and their associated gear. There was a lot of equipment came out in 1961 in Benton, Arizona, and in 62 to 1980. They produced amateur radio equipment in Oceanside, California, and then Cubic Communications took over from 80 to 82 until in 82 they stopped making amateur radio equipment altogether and switched to making equipment for civilian, military, and industrial use. So that encompasses quite a bit of equipment. Out of Oceanside, California. Some under the Swan name, some under the Cubic Communications name. I'm running Swan 600C and 600R Custom and a Swan Mark II, the later version for the Barrett 3500. So, anyway, we'll take check-ins now if you'll space it out a little bit, and we'll try to get as many as we can, and then we'll come back and work a few, and then we'll take some more check-ins. So, anybody that would like to check in, call now.
Delta 0 Alpha, Foxtrot.
KDLB.
K4POV. Kilo Delta 8, November Kilo Japan.
Whiskey Bravo 7, Echo Hotel X-Ray.
November Juliet Victor Alpha.
Okay. Let's see. Number 1 will be KADLD, and number 2 will be K4BOB. Number 3, WD5IKY. Number 4, WB7EHX. Number 5 will be November 5 Juliet Victor Alpha. I know there are a couple more, so let's see if we can get 4 more on the list before we start. Any others?
Delta 0
November Kilo Japan.
Kilo Delta 5, Uniform Order.
Okay, I need 1 more.
Bravo 0, Whiskey Mike Quebec.
Alright. So let's see. Number 6, Kilo Delta 8, November Kilo Juliet. And number 7, Kilo Delta 5, Papa Uniform Romeo. Number 8, WB5D/portable, or WR5D/portable. And number 9, KB0WMQ. So anybody else, please stand by. We're going to work about a half of these, then we'll call for some more check-ins. Give you a chance to go refill your coffee cup. So back up to the top of the list. KADLD, KG5GP. Your turn. Go ahead.
KG5GP, KDLB. Well, good afternoon, Jack. Thanks for running the net. Sounds good here. You're well over S9. And like you, I'm on a pair of twins also, 600T, the 600R Custom with the 16-pole single 5-band filter, plus it's got the AM and CW filter in it also. Using a Shure 444 mic and driving a Mark II amplifier, going about 700-800 watts on peaks here. Nice day, about 60 degrees and blue skies. Cool this morning as usual, about 28-29 degrees. And it seems like the band's in pretty good shape today. I missed the vintage bed. I took a nap and slept through it. So anyway, Jack, thanks for running the net and picking me up. KG5GP, KDLD.
Okay, Evan, I'm sorry you missed the vintage net. It was quite a hoot. There was some really good stuff to hear on the vintage net. Stuff from the middle to late 50s even. So that was some very early equipment there, you know, leader of the pack kind of deal. enough to cause the other net below us to come up and complain. Darn you dirty guys, they would say, but you know, we just turn our heads and look the other way and ignore them, and they'll go away. But your 600 sound great. Mark II also, and I was able to copy a little bit on Saturday. Swan Users Net from the Northeast, and I wasn't able to hear Stu, but I was able to hear you. Low, but I was able to hear you. And yeah, haven't turned on the repaired amplifiers yet. Oh my gosh, how am I going to sleep at night unless I know you got your amplifiers fixed? Darn it. So you got to get down and get dirty with it, and just have to, you know, got to pull the switch one day. And it's best if you've got some time just in case. So I know you will, and you'll keep us informed, because I'm intensely curious. And while we're talking about amplifiers, don't look on eBay. Don't look. There's a nice looking Mark I. There's a 1200W amplifier, both of them working. And there's a 175, 140, and 125. All three single band rigs. All on eBay right now. What is it about almost Christmas where these things pop up out of the woodwork? The next thing we'll see is more twins come up right before Christmas. Like you want to ship anything then. But thanks for being there, Evan. Those things sound great. And I hope everything's working in your favor up there. Let me go to number 2 on the list. Kilo 4, Bravo, Ocean, Victor. Your turn on the Swan User Net. Go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon there, Jack. KG5GP, K4BOV up here near Corning, New York. My goodness, I didn't know you were listening on the 40-meter net yesterday. I was giving you everything I could. I was on my amplifier yesterday. Today I'm using my Swan 240, don't have the amp on. And I'm putting it out on my monobander 20-meter Yankee, and it's pointing pretty much in your direction. Boy, the band is really quiet. I don't hear all that you told me about for the last year there, Jack. And no NASCAR today, so that's how I was able to make it. Boy, I got some good signals out here right now. I think I copied down every one you heard. KG5GP, K4BOV.
Okay. Yeah, well, I figured that the time has changed, but we're not down to the shortest days yet, so the band will just get better on 40 meters in the middle of the daytime between us. Probably over the course of the next month and a half, and I'll be able to call and check in. By then, I'll be able to hear pretty much everybody. But there's been some times recently where I couldn't even hear Evan. I know he's got a 40-meter add-on kit, but if I can't hear Evan and I couldn't hear up any further than about Tennessee, it wasn't going to do me any good sitting listening to static. So I turned it on to see who I could hear, tried to get an idea of what propagation was doing, and then just have to go on about my business. Because it's been pretty busy here. It's been busier than a bull's tail in fly season. Over.
Well, I've been kind of busy here too. I'm still trying to clean this place up. I've been trying to do it for about a year now. My daughter and her son and my son, who's also a hand, they're going to be here for Thanksgiving. We're going to have a good time there. By the way, the temperature is 40 degrees right now. I don't have a lot to do outside anymore. Up here, I got everything taken care of, so we're all set. Although, my 15-meter Yagi, I have a separate tower with that 15-meter Yagi on it. And all of a sudden, the SWR is about 2.5 to 1 on it. So my son, as I said, is going to be here. He's a ham. And he's going to scale the power there and check the antenna out for each silver sphere. He's going to bring it down for me. But I've been on 15 a few times in the last month. Signals are pretty darn good. I had that Swan 400G. I got the cable going right directly to it. I used a 410 DSO with that thing, 410 speed. And that's the only thing I use it for is 15 meters. But 400G is a little bit too hard to, try to go to other cam bands. I just leave it on 15, but it works really, really great there. KG5GP, K4BOV.
Oh, yeah, 400's really good radio. I like mine with the regular 410. And I've been keeping an eye out, watching what's coming up for sale, all the time. Just keeping an eye out. got pretty much everything I need, but there's a few wants I still got, so I keep an eye out and see what'll come up. And then some of the stuff, wow. The prices are crazy. So I say, well, yeah, that would be there for a while. And we've seen them. They just there and there and there. 1 year goes by, the next year goes by, and it's still there because nobody's going to pay that for it. Some of these people are not understanding the value of their piece of equipment they're trying to sell. But good business on the 240 with just 90 watts and 40-meter Yagi, 20-meter Yagi. That's great. It's working fine. And yeah, it's 70 here. I just looked out before I came to sit down in the number one operator chair. And oh my gosh. I said, looks like 69 or 70 on the old drugstore dial out there. I said, all right, that's about right. About where it should be. Haven't really seen a lot of sun, but haven't seen hardly any rain. They said it was going to rain. But once again, they lied. We just got drizzles on, and that was it. So maybe Tuesday we'll get some rain. I sure hope so, because it's kind of drought-like here. When it's winter time coming up and things are drying out, you don't want it to be that dry. Set the world on fire. But thanks for being in there, Stu. Glad to hear from you. And I thought maybe you'd be watching motorcycle racing today. I said, oh, look, motorsports is on. Well, maybe not. But anyway, thanks for being in there, and hope to hear you again sometime soon. Let me move down the list. WD5 IKY. Your turn on the Swan Users Net, KG5GP.
Hello, KG5GP, and Swan Users Net, WD5 IKY here. From beautiful dynamic Denton, Texas, where it's, I think it's about 65 degrees, really nice. A little bit of cloudy, but blue skies all day today. And a very quiet band, very quiet, like is the antenna hooked up quiet. And hearing everybody so far, good to hear you, Stu, and doing a nice job in here to Texas. And the big station, and that's Big Signal, they're southeast Mississippi as well. On the Signet 270, and the matching 1200W Signet linear amplifier, 508 VFO, and the Shure 444 microphone. Somewhere between 400 and 500 watts. And you're sounding good, and it's good to hear as many stations as I am hearing. Man, sounds like it's in pretty good shape. That's about it from here. Keep it short. You're going to have a lot of people. I did hear a WD0 station trying to get in there when the whole thing started out, so it's a little bit off frequency, but that's the story from here. Nothing, Lacey. What else to report? That's about it. Back to you, WD5IKY.
Okay, Duncan. I said, look, there's Duncan's amplifier on eBay, 1200W. They think the tunes may be a little soft. They showed the power meter in tune. They were pumping 75 watts from a TS520 into it and getting 320 watts out. Well, if they would pump that up a little bit, they would see what they would really get out. But you know how it is. Just glad to see it out there. It was a pretty good looking 1200W. It was clean. It wasn't all scratched up, scuffed up, or beat up. They probably could use a little more cleaning, but it's amazing what's still moving around out there. And the price wasn't too far off. Yeah, well, you're sounding good for Texas. I'm so close. That's just amazing. See how what happens when propagation gets in our favor. I can hear you, and you're just right around the corner up there. That's amazing. But I'm glad everything's working out for you, and your radio sounds good. 270 to 1200 is making the trip without a problem. And no humps, no buzzes, no clicks. Good sounding setup. So anyway, thank you. Don't fall asleep. Maybe we'll call on you again later, and we'll see if you can pull in some people. It's a good possibility because I don't know if you kind of heard no zero person, but you might. Anyway, stand by until I call you again. See, that can be standing all the time. Well, we'll have a chair until I call you again. Thanks for being in there, too. WB7, Echo Hotel X-Ray. I'm going to turn my beam a little bit in your direction. WB78X, your turn on the Swan Users Net. Go ahead.
AG5 GT WB7 EHX. Let's see, you're about S9, Jack, and the temperature here is about 53 degrees. There's no rain yet, but it's overcast with the sun peeking through the clouds. I'm running an IC746, and let's see, feeding an SB201 into an extended double ZEP antenna through a Palstar balanced antenna tuner. And I was noticing on the specs for the Swan 240 that the bandwidth is 3 kilocycles nominal and 6 dB down on transmit and receive. So how are you copying me, Jack? Go ahead.
I got a good copy on you, John. You're doing just fine, over.
Yeah, okay. I was kind of surprised. Stu's doing 90 watts, and I'm copying him pretty good with 90 watts. And I presume he's got his 20-meter Yagi pointed at you. So yeah, that 90 watts from his 240s is getting in here. I'm copying just about everybody. The band, like you say, is in good condition, over.
Oh, absolutely. And you'll discover on those 240s the replacement PA tubes are relatively inexpensive still. Brand new old stock, new in the box, plentiful out there still. And you can get quite a bit of power out of them. And they seems to be that they all are very good at converting all that to audio, good audio out of those 240s. And so even though you don't think you're getting a lot of power, you're really pushing a good signal with those things. So that's why I like the 240s and the one single band series, the 175, 120, 140s. You know, those just excellent radios. That's what got the ball rolling, so to speak. Over.
Yeah, okay. That 3 kilohertz that you were talking about, you know, I was listening to the Vintage Net, and the one guy called in and was complaining about the splatter. I'm just wondering if that 3 kilohertz nominal bandwidth is pretty typical of the Swans of that vintage, and even of the, let's say the 350. Is that pretty typical, or have you ever looked at the transmit bandwidth, over?
Yeah, you can read in the manuals for the 100 series and for the 240s that the space they're going to take could be 3 to 3.2 wide. So that's how much space they take. And when you think about it, you look at the crystal filter made of individual crystals, and you see they're 2,000 cycles apart. You think, well, that should be narrower. Well, that's at the very top of the curve, if you think of it as a bell curve. And you have to go down the curve a few dBs, and you'll get the actual width, which is going to give you about 500 more on this side and 500 more on the other side, below and above. So that's going to equate to a total of 3,000. And that's what they state in the manuals, that they'll be, you know, relatively 3 to 3.2. So that was normal back then, because they were trying to cut the space in half, what AM guys were using, which was about 6, sometimes a little over 6. So, you know, and then later on, as things got better, they actually able to tame AM down to a channelized version of 5. But, you know, sideband, cut it in half, doubling the space for more people to be able to use the same amount of band space. So that was the reason for going from 6 to 3 and only having one sideband, and taking all that carrier power and putting it on that sideband and eliminating the other sideband altogether. So that way we took up less space, you got a good amount of power out, and why do you want to send a carrier out when the carrier is not carrying any intelligence? Its intelligence is all in the modulation, you know, the spoken word. Over.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they do spec the bandwidth at 6 dB down. So yeah, you have to go down the filter. I guess you'd say the filter profile. down about 6 dB to know what the specified bandwidth is. What is the bandwidth of your 600T right now? Do you have any idea what the specified bandwidth on that is? Over?
Yeah, it's different from the transmitter to the receiver. The receiver in the custom here, 600 custom, is what they consider the 16 special. So it's like having two of the regular filters in series. So it's a lot leaner than 2.7, a lot narrower. Cuts out a lot of background noise, but still gets a good audio. But the transmitter has the same 2.7 wide, 5.5 IF filter that you usually find in some of the other transmitters, the 700CX, the 500CX, 500C, 500. That's the thing, about 2.7 on transmit here. So I should be just about right there on it. I think I had somebody check it one time and it was about that much. But that's why I like the 16-pole filters for a receiver more than I care for the transmitter or transceiver. I like the 16-pole filter in the receiver, but I had one in one of my 500CXs and I took it out and put a regular 8-pole filter in there because it made it easier to operate, even though it made it a little bit wider than the 16-pole. I liked it. It's easier to align and easier to do other things with, like AM single sideband or other stuff like that. So it made it easier to tune too, made it easier to align. 16-pole filter is great. I love it for the receivers, but boy, when it comes to transmitters, it can be a difficulty. I mean, the 8-pole is adequate enough, especially being only 2.7 wide. So, and that's what I got on the last time, last Wednesday. There was a fellow with SDR radio, and he had me on his scope on my 700CX. He said I was right there. 2.7, and he said he had never heard of Swan radios, but he wanted to check in to complement the audio on that 700CX. He thought that was just the greatest audio he'd ever heard. So, and that was Ramon over there in Dallas, Texas. Over.
Yeah, okay. All interesting stuff. Well, thanks again for picking me up. I've talked long enough, way too long, and so I'll sign off, say 73, and let you pick up a few more people out there who want to check in and have a chat with you, Jack. 73, WB70HX. Thanks again.
Okay, John. Good to hear from you, buddy. You sound good. But the band is, time has changed. The band this time of day starts wanting to go away, so we have to kind of hustle along a little bit. Anyway, down to the next one on the list, November 5, Juliet Victor Alpha. Your turn on the Swan Users Net. KG5GP.
KG5GP and 5G. That way for a while. We'll turn back over to you, and I guess I'm going to have to swing to G5R2. I don't remember how many years that's been up. It's been up to we've been in this house for over 10 years, and I had it before that, so I suppose it's time to replace it. something about it, like maybe we can get my access and fix one out. Well, where's that? Where's that about over there? AG550, then 5AG8.
Okay, N5JB8. Did I get the name and location right? I got Dustin, I think it was, but I didn't get a location.
Yeah, the name's Tony. And go on to the member entry. And I'm in somewhere.
Oh, yeah, Tony in Ottumwa. I don't know why I forget that. Maybe it's, I hadn't heard the call in a while, but I do remember it. I do remember. The reason I remember, of course, everybody remembers Ottumwa. You know, that's where radar was from on the match series. You know, so, yeah, Tony. Well, yeah, even antennas, everything has a limited lifespan, and even antennas like that. You know, they're great at first, but then the weather takes its toll. You know, the cracks form in plastic coatings, water, moisture gets in, a copper-coated steel wire starts to rust, and you know how RF likes to run on the outside of a metal wire. It doesn't really like to run on the inside of it, so it causes difficulties. Yeah, sometimes it's better not to even think about them after they get to a certain age. Just take them down and roll them up, put them in a bag, and throw them in the junk pile for spare parts in case something else shows up. And then put a fresh new antenna up. Won't have to worry about it anymore. So glad to hear from Iowa today. We're representing Iowa today because I don't think we've sold any other Iowa stations in. So thanks, Tony, for checking in on your 1000 feet. It sounds good. And yeah, look around. Who knows, Christmas time, there may be Christmas sales on antennas. There's still some ham fests left, a few more. People that like to do them in late November and in early December. Anyway, let's move down the list to KD8, November, Kilo Juliet. KD8, NKJ, your turn on the Swan Users Net. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jack. Appreciate it. Name here is Butch. Bravo. Bravo Charlie Hotel. We're located in Battle Creek, Michigan. It's been a nice, beautiful day here today. And been working outside, picking up some leaves, taking the dog for a walk. Not much else going on here today. I think for the winter. And I guess what keeps me up at night is Swan 350 Jack. I have totally screwed it up. So you're going to be on the net on Wednesday night. I'll probably have a bunch of questions for you. So that's what keeps me up at night. Otherwise, we're on 500 Charlie and wow, 500 Charlie, and went through it. I lined that, replaced some parts and stuff that was in it. Seems to be running pretty darn good. So hopefully I can get a good signal report. I know there's other people who want to talk, so I'll turn it back to you, Jack. 88,
Okay, Butch. Well, that's the good thing about it, is that it's just adjustments when it comes to getting the alignments right on them. And sometimes, and I too have noticed it, the 350s are a little bit more difficulty. I don't think they were as plain speaking in the manual on the alignment procedure as they were in the later ones, like the 500C, 500CX. They began to get pretty plain, because I've had a lot of questions. Some of them were, why do we want to line it on this band at this frequency? And, yeah, we can get into long explanations about why. But you try to take it a step by step. You can even break it down in the manual step by step and go back to it. And we'll talk about that on Wednesday. And don't forget, Wednesdays we start at 3 p.m. Central. I know I about fell asleep thinking it was 4 p.m. Because I had almost forgot. And then my brain banged me and said, hey, wake up. It's half past time to start the net. I said, what? I jumped up and turned on the radio, and so we started a half hour early on last Wednesday, and that was all my fault. So it's 3 to 4 instead of 4 to 5, because by the time we get to the the sun is going down and then we're losing the band. So, you know. So, yeah, we'll look look forward to hearing you then, and we can talk more about it then. So, good to hear you, Butch. Your 500C sounds great. From Michigan, you're putting in a great signal. Let's go down the list. Next one is number 7, KG5. Papa Uniform Romeo. Your turn on the Swan Users Net. KG5, GP.
Good afternoon, you all in the day. 63 degrees and way on the way.
Is this Andy?
Well, that's when I woke up this morning.
Yeah, Andy in LaGrange. Yeah. Hey, what kind of radio are you running an antenna today?
160-meter dipole with a ESJ tuner and a UCFT 950.
Okay. All right, Andy. Well, I'm glad to hear from LaGrange. And yeah, the FT950 and the dipole with the tuner, that's working fine. And yeah, I hear you really good for a change. Sometimes we don't, it's like you're at just the right distance and to not be heard, but I heard you then. And so thanks for checking in and being in there. And hopefully you'll be able to get things together, get a Swan on the air. A Swan radio. Yep, they're the best. I'm prejudiced. I think they're just really good radios, especially after last Wednesday. That guy Ramon, KP4RX, when he checked in, I said, "Are you in Puerto Rico?" He said, "No, he was in Dallas," and then he explained to me what he was running and why he wanted to check in. So somebody hollered, "Check in." Go ahead, check in.
Roger, good afternoon all. Here is Kilowatt 2 here. Hotel, November, KUSA Mike, Western Arkansas.
And Kilo Bravo 7 X-ray, X-ray.
Okay. All right, Mike. We'll stand by. We'll be down to you in 2 more. And Kilo Bravo 7 X-ray, X-ray. Stand by. You'll be right after Mike in West Arkansas. Just want to say hey to Andy again. And say, Andy, we got to get moving. So WR5D portable. Are you still portable, or did you finally make it home?
I'm here, Jeff. You got me okay?
Yeah, I got you good.
9420, a 33-year-old radio.
That's great. Well, for those listening, give everybody your name and your actual location. Okay, good. It'd be nice if they could all hear that, especially if they heard what you were running and the antenna you were using. It's great when propagation's in your favor, isn't it? Oh my God, 12 watts from Denton, Texas. Oh my God, that's great. I wonder if Duncan was able to hear you.
Just barely, but not.
12 watts, Duncan, that's all he's running in your neighborhood. Isn't that amazing? Making it all the way to southeast Mississippi with that MFJ radio 9420. That's just wild, isn't it? It's amazing. When the propagation gets good, you can talk to Germany on 5 watts and 10 meters.
No doubt about it. That's a lot of fun. Well, I try to work with everything for everybody.
All right, John. Appreciate you being in there. All right, moving move down to the next one on the list. KB0 WMQ, your turn on the Swan Users Net.
Well, good afternoon, Jack, and everybody else out there on the Swan Users Net this afternoon. The new year is one. I'm in Minnesota, KB0 WMQ. I'm on a report for you. Right now, and it's sunny tonight. Very nice day tonight. There's snow on the ground this morning. And it's all down right now. This afternoon, I'm on a tempo 1 and running ethanol 4100 B. Nothing on radio here, but nothing on the air today. So with that, I'll turn it back to Matt. Back to you, Jack.
Okay, Robbie, I heard that Tempo 1 sounded pretty good. I thought about you the other day when I was looking through tubes on eBay, and a guy had a pair of new old stock, new in the box, 12BY78 RCH, and he wanted $12.50. I said, oh, Robbie needs to send that guy a $10 bill and pay for shipping and get him another pair of driver tubes.
Ooh, yeah, I'll have to check that out. I could use the company.
Yeah, when you see them new in the box, new old stock like that, and they're going dirt cheap, man. Those are good. That's the ones you want. But yeah, the Tempo 1 sounds great, and glad you were able to hang in there for this long. Trying to get everybody in as quick as I can, because I know the band starts to try to fade this time of the, now that we've changed the time over. But remember that come Wednesday, because we'll be looking for you on Wednesday for a report on how the progress is going on the 350C. So thanks for being in there, Robbie. Let me pick up Mike again, K2SHN in Arkansas. Go ahead, Mike.
From Milwaukee, Sierra Hotel, November, USA 10. No Swan equipment in the jack, but currently running the hot water 101, running about 75 watts, feeding a 71-foot hatch bed, hung out the back window with the jack. Also got the kit hot water 16 with the matching HG10 CFO and the old kit 1410 gear. And when I'm not playing with these, we have the FTGX set, but we're not going to say that too loudly right now. Over.
Oh, excellent, with the 101. Very good. It's nice to hear. We're hearing less and less of those on the air, on the different bands. Guys are maybe running a 102 or something else like that, further up we're not hearing too many of the earlier. I kind of hate that. That's why I like to run some of the earliest radios, like my 120 I ran for the vintage net earlier. And I was glad to hear the other guy running the radio he was running from the 50s, the late 50s in there, because I like to hear those old rigs up and running. It's a shame some of them get just put to the side because the newer Nexter versions had this or that on it, and the earlier ones are just good running radios, good and clean and stable. For the reason they're not stable a lot of times is by left them on the shelf so long they've absorbed a lot of moisture and they needed to be run. You run them for a few hours a day for a week and it chases all the moisture out of them, and then they stabilize up pretty good. Over.
So, Rod, yeah, I actually have two of them here. One is currently into restoration mode. Got some new vinyls we're going to put it in, but currently do have this one fully functional on here. But only just right around 20 meters, and it's pretty much where it stays. But just got to be down a couple of times a week around my work schedule as I drive a truck for a living locally now, thankfully. So do get to be home and enjoy the other noise a little bit. And it sure is nice to hear the folks out there with the other vintage radios and keeping the tubes flowing. Really enjoyed the band that came out with you last December. And throughout my original novice call to carry on my dad's call, my brother Mark carried on our grandfather's call for 23 years. So really proud to be doing that and building this cool heat kit station to kind of in memory of Dad and Grandpa and all their teachings back in the novice days of growing up in ham radio and still operating one today. KQSA 10. Back to you, sir.
Okay, Mike. Excellent. Very good. Yeah, I just I see so much being wasted away, and that's just a shame. But fortunately, and we thank modern technology in these times that eBay is around and Etsy and some of the other auction sites, because kids have learned that they can get free money from Grandpa's old stuff. So it doesn't matter what it is. Now, he's not using it anymore. He's gone on to the promised land, and so they're selling all of Grandpa's stuff, and that includes his radios and all the junk from his junk boxes, and so they're searching through and making some extra money, and I'm sure Grandpa doesn't mind, because he has no use for it anymore, and if kids can get some money off of it, that's what they're doing. So a lot of stuff ends up being sold to people who could appreciate it and put it to use. Good old American products, made in America by Americans, you know, before the Pacific Rim took over making everything. So anyway, thanks for being in there. Really appreciate you checking in. Hope you will check in again in the future. Let me move down to number 11, KB7, X-ray, and then we'll call Duncan in and see if he can pull some in. Go ahead, KB7 X-ray, KG5GP.
Hey, KG5GP, KB7XX. Thanks, Jack. Hey, I want you to be listening to my signal and see how it audio sounds, and if I'm moving, if I'm drifting up and down, I'll give you a little chatter right here. We're on the Swan 350 Charlie right now, and didn't seem to load up too well on 40 meters earlier today, and I have to look at that. But it seemed like my frequency was shifting, drifting just a little bit. You've been pretty stable. I got the 500 over in the shop. I'm going to work on the that audio signal. Remember I told you how the audio would just kind of drift off? Well, there's a clue to it. There's no S-meter movement. So something from the S-meter circuit up to the front end, it's probably a bad tube. It's probably because it fades in and out. And that, now I'm going to work on the microphone, the audio jacks. Bring the audio up to the front and see if I can get away from that hump. So there's a little bit of chatter, Jack. Let me know if my frequency is kind of sitting stable there. KB7XX, go ahead.
Yeah, sitting pretty stable. There's just a little jump or two in the audio, like it was a little low, and then all of a sudden it came up a little bit higher, like maybe some cleaning on a relay or something like that, or cleaning on a mic connection, or something like that. But you were just fine frequency-wise the whole time. So, you know, that's excellent. And yeah, well, when you got no S-meter movement, but you know there are signals coming in because you're just listening to some at the same, like a net, like the maritime net, and then all of a sudden, you know, you lose that. That's S-meter surrounds the second IF. But if there's nothing coming to the second IF from the first IF, then you're not going to get any S-meter movement. And if there's nothing coming from the first IF, usually that means there's nothing going through the crystal filter. And if there's nothing going through the crystal filter, that means that the receive mixer is not being able to put out anything that can be mixed with and come up with 5.5. And generally that's either one of two things. The receive amplifier tube, incoming receive amplifier tube is not putting out into the receive mixer, or the DFO signal is not making it to the receive mixer. Because you take 14.2 coming in, you know, megs, let's say that, 14.2, and then you take 8.7 megs from the VFO, and you put those both together, and you come up with a 5.5. And if it's got modulation on it, then it should be making, because that's the tune, that's what the plate for the receive mixer is that's its tune circuit, is the crystal filter. So that's the only thing that it's going to pull out of that receive mixer is that 5.5 modulated signal. So odds are it's probably the receive amplifier tube or associated component taking care of the voltages to that tube, or the mixer. We've had past noted some failure rate and problems with little mixer tubes, 12 BE6s. And even the 6 BE6s were prone to failure a lot, more than what we would have expected. Over the course of the last few years, we've noticed that some of them, when we got down to that, that's where we were. I said, wow, that mixer tube. And then where again, somebody else had a problem, and it was that mixer tube. So that's where I'd be looking, right there to receive incoming amplifier and the mixer tube. So right there, receive mixer tube, because that's usually, if you got no SWR, that's usually what you got, no nothing. But if you key it up and you can see the idle current, if you turn the carrier balance left and right, you can see the cathode go up and down in milliamps. And if you say something, you can see the needle moving through the modulation and the needle on the output, so you know, okay, everything's good in the transmit, so it must be just the receive, and it's letting there way on down. So thanks for being in there, and yeah, good business on the 350C. But the more you get, once you get them up, you got to use them a little bit, every day for a week, or kind of get the little bugs out, and plug and unplug the microphone, and turn all the knobs, and especially the band switch, and all the switches. Everything needs to be exercised, especially if they've been sitting around and you're just getting it back together. No telling how long it's been sitting. But the 350C sounded really good. I don't think you moved any on the frequency. Over.
Okay, well, that sounds good. Well, the transmitter side works great. Like you said, I can vary the carrier balance up and down. I can speak into the mic. I can see the modulation. It loads fine. So I know it's just strictly on the receiver side, but I'll check that mixer tube and stuff right there. I figure it's right in there. It's probably going to be a tube. That'll be my first place to check, and then after that I'll have to start looking at the components. I don't have all the necessary test equipment that I used to have years ago. I sold it all. Guess I shouldn't have done that. And so I can get in there and check it out. But it's a tube radio. You can fix them. It's not like this stuff today that's all solid state. You just look at a little black blob on there and you figure, well, what am I going to do? So we'll get into it. We'll get it fixed. And I'll go back through this 350 again and kind of tweak it a little more and make certain everything's working on it. And you're right. You got to use these things. You can't leave them set. You're going to fix them. You got to get up and use them, and that'll keep them alive. Hey, Jack, we won't hold it. I got some company disc came in, so I appreciate you giving me some input there, and we'll try to touch base with you next Wednesday. KG5GP, KB7XX.
Okay. Yeah, that time sounded good. It only had one little glitch at the beginning. They all like the audio. Like when they used to run the mic element through the 444 push-to-talk switch. I always thought that was a bad idea. So I run mine straight passage, straight out. And I don't go through that push-to-talk switch. So anyway, or through the little switch on the bottom that said box this way and regular that way. No, sir, my audio goes straight through there, so I avoid any contact points like that can fail. That was just asking for trouble eventually. So anyway, Duncan, WD5IKY, are you still with us?
WB6MWL.
Okay, WB6MWL. Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought that you were at the bottom there. Yeah, I did hear Duncan a few minutes ago. I'm on the 20-meter inverted V. Boy, did that make a difference for Mike. The signals to the north really came up.
Wow, yeah, see? That's what I was saying. I need to go ahead and I've got a dipole here, 80-meter dipole. I need to hook a couple of 20-meter wires to it, so that it's like a fan dipole, so that I can do that too sometimes. Because it would sure be turning this rotor all the time when you're on net control. Gotta go to the east, gotta go to the north, gotta go to the west, gotta go back. If I could just put an omnidirectional signal out, I'd be a lot happier. And being down where I'm at, if I just shoot north with a big lobe, a big wide lobe, and south, which there's nothing down there but the Gulf of Mexico, I'll put it on the north side of the tower so it'll reflect most of the signal to the north, and I'll be able to cover most of North America. But that's great. What are you running today, Jay?
I'm running the 500C driving the Mark II here. And, I think this antenna favors the north because you're a little bit weaker. You're still an S7, but I think this will help till I can figure out the problem with the coax on the beam. I gotta get that done. Over.
Yeah, well, now that we're getting towards winter time, the weather may become a little more moderate and give you an opportunity to get out there and do it in steps, you know. First, the disassembly part, which is usually a lot quicker than the last part, which is put it all back together again and put up in the air. That's, you can say it quick, but it goes a lot slower than that. But, you know, it doesn't hurt to bring things down, and if it's old coax, just go ahead and change it. Just change it. Get the right size and length and new ends on it. Make sure you tested it good, and it's new, and it's good to go. So you pull the antenna down, take it apart, clean it, check it, and make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. I built a little, it took an A-frame ladder, and where I could mount an antenna on the top of it, you know, about 6-8 feet off the ground, and I could run the coax I was going to use to that, and then I could check SWR on the ground and output and all that kind of stuff after I got it cleaned and put together, and get it set that way. Then I would put all that stuff back up on the tower, but I've done that before with a couple of different antennas. But yeah, sounds good. I'm glad you're able to hear a lot better up the north, but there ain't no Roger to hear today. I haven't heard Roger check into any of the net, and hadn't heard Ted, but I can understand why. Maybe we'll hear Ted this coming week, but on the 258 group. But boy, it's good to hear you, Jay.
Yeah, good to hear you, Jack. And yeah, I'm glad I got this. That balun was bad. I don't know. I checked it out, and it just wasn't very erratic. Resistance. You put an ohm meter on it, and it just jumped all over the place. So it had partial open or something in it. I don't know. But that's the way to, you know, don't put something up till you check it. I learned my lesson there. Over.
Yeah. Well, I think what happens is breakdown over time, and then you get RF jumping across the broken part, you know, the breakdown. Whether it's an arcing that makes it across. Once you get an arc like on a ceramic switch, you can't get that arc off of that ceramic. It's burnt in there, and RF will try to follow that path every time. And it can be the same way with other stuff. You know, so internally the balun may have some arc across it where it jumped one time because of moisture or something, and once it created an arc, it keeps wanting to go there. So instead of going out. So yeah. But anyway, it's a constant, thing. You got to always keep your eye out for stuff like that. I know. I'm expecting my balun on this 80-meter dipole one day to say the same thing to me because it's been up for a while. But I've got his spare, brand new one, in the plastic from the factory in the filing cabinet, waiting for that day. When that day comes, that'll be the end of that. Well, thanks for being in there, Jay. Hope the weather's in your favor. I heard it was going to rain the next few days down there as that low front moves down from Washington, Oregon, down along the coast offshore of California. Over.
They're talking it might get here Wednesday night, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's moving slow, I guess. But I think up there where Ted's at, they're catching it pretty good in Washington and Oregon. I heard John real well there from Oregon, too, on this antenna, so that's going to be a good thing. I can switch back and forth between the beam and the wire, and that'll help me with net control, I think, Jack. Over.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was thinking, too. Because sometimes, I'm pointing one direction, or somebody says they're checking somebody else in. I said, geez, if I had an antenna. Because if they're both about the same 50 ohm impedance, when you switch over, if you're not really running an exorbitant amount of power, it shouldn't be that much of a difference. You shouldn't have to totally retune. You should be able to just switch to another antenna that's about approximately the same impedance, and it should be close to the same load, so there shouldn't be a whole lot of retuning or anything. You just switch antennas. I mean, for the 1 or 2 contacts, and then move back to the original antenna that you tuned up on. You know, tubes are a little more forgiving than solid-state amplifiers. Over.
Oh, yeah. I got rid of my solid-state amplifier. Anytime it rained and the SWR changed, it would kick off. So I got very tired of that real quick. Over.
Geez, I would too. Okay, Jay, when I got you in there, I was looking for the Somali man, thought I might give him a chance to make a few calls. He was there for a long time, but then, you know, I guess he fell asleep at the microphone. So, let me try one more time. Duncan, are you there? W5IKY, KG5GP. He probably fell asleep. That's good. He's getting old. He sleeps a lot now, you know, and I can understand that. I do too. I sure sleep more than I used to, and I hate to get up sometimes. I get nice and warm on the couch taking a nap, and I'm like, you know, I don't really want to get up. Why do I need to get up? And then I'm either hungry or I got to do something else, so I got to get up. Once they invented remote controls, life became a lot easier. I could just switch the channel on the TV without having to get up. That was a good invention. But anyway, this is KG5GP with the Swan User Net. We're getting a little past the hour, but we're okay. We're taking last check-ins. Any last check-ins? Come down.
Whiskey Delta 0, Alpha Foxtrot
November 0, Delta Hotel Bravo.
Okay, I got Whiskey Delta 0, Alpha Foxtrot Oscar, and I got another that ends with DHB, Delta Hotel Bravo. What's the full call?
November 0, Delta Hotel Bravo.
Okay, and I've got you at number 14. Any others? Okay, and then Kilo 1, Papa Sierra Charlie. Okay, so stand by there. We'll pick up Whiskey Delta 0, Alpha Foxtrot Oscar. Your turn on the Swan User Net.
Roger on the Whiskey Delta 0, Alpha Foxtrot Oscar. Dog hand over Kansas on 700 CF. Into vertical. And got 100 MXA here. This is going to suggest my operation. So anyhow, not a whole lot going on here. I'm just thought I'd check in. I don't want to keep it close to getting hold of another guy. I just want to thank you for running the net and picking me up there. Got to give me 0 AFO.
Okay, Doug. 5 minutes on 700CX. Very good. Nice radios. They really were. Top of the line stuff. The 500CX and the 700CX, I think those were some of the better radios that they ever put out. Because they eliminated the need for oscillator tube for the IF. They gave you the opportunity there to go 100 KC or 25 KC on the calibrator. They lowered the number of tubes, you know, that had to be in there. It was just was such an improvement, and they seem to be, of all the other radios, I've noticed their stability seems to they really hit the peak of the of temperature compensation or stability. Those things, I just noticed myself, they seem to be the most stable of all the models. But anyway, thanks, Doug, for being in there, and yeah, I hope you get that MX going through. Oh, God, I feel for you. But if you've been in there before, you know what you're going after. So, but yeah, that RCX Versa does a great job for you from Kansas. I'm glad you hung in there and got checked in. Glad to hear you. Hope to get you in sooner next week. Anyway, let's move down to November 0, Delta Hotel Bravo. Your turn on the Swan Users Net.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's 63 degrees here in Missouri. I'm about 30 miles north of Branson, Missouri. The name is Jerry.
And my watt meter says this thing's sitting at about 2 meters long. But anyway, I turned it back on there, found it there, I thought I'd start turning up the meter pretty fast. But anyway, I hope I'm on frequency. And anyway, that's the way it is here in Missouri. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, Terry. Yeah, you're on frequency. You're doing good with your tornado. And it's got a little something with the audio. As you talk, it's, kind of popping a lot. I mean, you know how when somebody's, like overdriving, the peaks get feathery? Well, this is like almost feathery on every word. It's kind of gravelly. Like a really poor connection in the mic, or mic pot needs exercise, mic gain back and forth, or something like that, like some kind of poor connection. But it could be anywhere along the chain. But otherwise, just fine. And it's nice to hear a Holocrafters on, This is Swan Net, but everybody's welcome here. And yes, these things need exercise. If you haven't used it in a while, that's probably why it's doing what it's doing. They want all their knobs turned. They want their band switches turned, especially, from one end to the other several times. And they want all the knobs turned. They want all the relays clean. And they want to be run. They need to be run. If they don't, they honestly just sit around there and suck up any moisture they can find out of the air. Yeah, that's the best way to keep an old radio alive, is to use it often and regular. But thanks for checking in, Terry. Sorry you had to wait so long, but good to hear a Holocrafters tornado.
Okay, I'll turn the microphone down a little bit. Would that help me out right there?
Yeah, it helped out a little bit. You're quieter, but there's still that little bit with it, but it's not as much.
Okay, I'll look into that and try to figure out what it is there. But anyway, you guys have a good one. Appreciate you running the net. Hello to everybody out there in 73.
Okay, Terry. Glad to have you. Hope to hear you again next week. Anyway, we'll move down to K1 PFC. Your turn on the Swan Users Net, KG5GP.
So after that, K1 Papa Sierra Charlie. As usual, running the Swan 270, so run for 38 microphone. And actually, I'll end outboard VFO.
Well, the 508 external VFO is one that he was using, and it uses the same IF as your 270 and 270B and 300B. It uses 5.5 IF. And the advantage of the 508 over the other VFOs that are 5.5, like the 410C, is that with the 508 VFO, you can actually work split. You can use the VFO in the radio to transmit on, and you can use the VFO in the receive, external VFO for receive. So you can actually work split. And some DX stations, when things get really bumping, and we're at the peak of the sunspot, there's a lot of guys going, he's 5 down. Quit calling on this frequency. He's 5 down. Or he's 5 up. Go 5 up. And so you have to work split. And so it makes it a lot easier, because that's the one VFO that I know of that's got a built-in relay in it, so that you can actually work split like that automatically. So, and also having the VFO, the 2-transistor VFO board, in an outboard piece of equipment usually means it's not subject to any heat generated from inside the radio. So it's a little more stable if you have a problem with stability. That usually solves that problem. I've got a 508 to my 270B. Sometimes the dials, the shaft for the main dial on the 270B, as they wear when they get older, it's a different kind of a drive than the drive that's on the external VFO. It's a gear reduction mixture VFO. So pass up, you know, and then have to go back or have to touch it up a little bit. So it's quite a big improvement if you use the 508 external VFO. Justin, over.
Well, all right, that sounds good. I know you're already over your time here, so I was looking forward to those things, so I will leave it at that. Somebody claim that I'm not picking me up and we'll find you out next week.
Okay, Justin, fine business, buddy. Good to hear from you. And hope to hear you again next week. Hope you're having fun with that. Yeah, if you get a chance, you see one, especially to get a pretty good price.
If you're at a ham test,
508 VFO. There was an early version and a late version. They both work just the same. The only difference is on the early version, 508 VFO, the 3-position switch that's either off, so the VFO is off, the light is off on it. You're just using the radio VFO, where you turn to the first position, and now it's receive this, transmit that, and then the next position is receive that, transmit this, and the last position is it uses the 508 VFO as the VFO only and ignores the radio's internal VFO. That switch is labeled in the early versions 500 this or 500 that, and in the later versions they took 500 off of that switch nomenclature position and they just made it transceiver A, exceiver B, exceiver B, transceiver A, or you know, so that way when you plug it into one model, like say you had it on a 700CX, you weren't looking at a VFO that was talking about a 500. Even though the name of the VFO was 508, you know, so I like, that's how you can tell a later version from an earlier version. But that's, they're still basically the same on the inside, but they work really well, and that's my preferred one. That's one of the things I keep my eye out for if I can find another one at a decent price. If I can, and it's not beat up and it's a later version, that's the one I would go for. But you'll find you like it. If you get one, you'll say, wow, this tuning is a little bit easier. I don't have any backlash. I don't have to touch it up. I'm not going past the frequency. I'm easily turning into the guy's voice and coming right up on it. And I just let go of it, and it stays right there. And if I have to be 5 up or 5 down, no problem. I can switch it to the position I want, and I can move one or the other, the radio or the VFO, 5 up or 5 down. I can work the split. Catch that station in Cucamonga, wherever. Thanks, Justin, for being in there. KG5GP.
well, that might bring us quite an answer. Yeah, I'll have to keep my eyes open for it. Either one,
They pop up from time to time. The average going price usually is around $175. You know, if it's in good shape, I mean cosmetically and electrically, everything looks just as hunky-dory fine. It's not all beat up, then maybe $185. So, not cheap, but it's the preferred one. Anyway, this is KG5GP with the Swan Users Net. Any questions or comments before we close the previous check-in? All right, nothing heard. Well, I'd like to remind everybody there's a Northeast Swan Technical Net every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on 7242. 7242, the Northeast Swan Technical Net run by K4BOB, is on every Saturday, except for special holidays. And they run a good hour and a half on technical questions from the Northeast. 40 meters in the daytime, it doesn't have a restriction. But in the wintertime, almost half the United States can hear them. So the distance kind of stretches out in the wintertime on that Northeast Swan Technical Net on 7242 from Eastern Time. Then every Wednesday we have the 20-meter Swan Technical Net, 14292 or 14287 alternate frequency. So you may have to move a little bit if you can't hear us on 292 or 293. We'll be right down there about 287. Worked all states, people chase us around sometimes. They like to get on 90 and they want all the space they can get, so you guys move away from us. I hate it. But what can you do? They're there first. You got to kind of give them the
move up or down. It gets pretty packed up in there with DX too on Wednesday nights. Sometimes we get down as far as 282 just to find a spot where we can wedge ourselves in to have the net. But every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central Time, every Wednesday 3 p.m. Central Time, 14292, use our regular net frequency, and if we're not there, check around. We'll be somewhere close by there every Wednesday at 3 o'clock. So, visit us there, and if you weren't heard, weren't able to get checked in, try again next week. There's always going to be somebody in here that's going to relay you in. Conditions will be more in your favor, and I hope you guys have a good week, and hope you had a good Veterans Day, and salute our veterans. Thank you very much for your service, all of them. Appreciate it, really, very much. And so take care, everybody. This is KG5GP, closing the Swan Users Net for November the 8th, 2023, and returning the frequency to regular amateur use. 7-3 all.